immediate area, though, with the wind out of the southeast at 6 miles per hour, right about. Satellite and radar showing you just some spotty shower activity. Not driving some light picture right about now, just to the north of the area. Now, if we move into tonight's forecast, we're looking at a low of 74 degrees, partly cloudy skies, 30% chance of rain in the early evening hours with the winds out of the south-southwest, pretty light, about 5 miles per hour or so. That 3-day forecast, 40% chance of rain for you here on Saturday. Starting to see the increase in the rain chances as we work into the weekend and the early part of next week. Keep temperatures nice and toasty around the 90-degree point. The headlines, we're going to see those heat indexes and that moisture rising once again back towards the 75-degree mark. So now we're going to dive in a little bit deeper into the local forecast. Here's the almanac for today. We had a high of 96 here in the capital city, the same that we had in town yesterday. For the high month so far, our low at 7. Record highs. We see 1.64 inches for the month so far. It's pretty much below normal here. 2.78 is our normal for this time of year. This is, again, our 4th straight day in Tallahassee without measuring any rain at the airport, although we could be seeing the potential for some to be measured in the next 15 minutes or so, although the storm is largely to the north of the Tallahassee airport and largely north of town as well. The current temperatures across the Big Bend region, 90s pretty much everywhere except for near the coastline as well as in parts of Taylor County. 88 degrees currently sitting in Perry, and a nice and toasty 95 in Wilma as well as Bainbridge here. The dew points pretty muggy, especially with respect to what we had in town yesterday with that 57-degree dew point that we measured at one point yesterday evening here. 71 currently is that dew point in Tallahassee, so it's feeling a lot toastier outside, feeling more like 100, 102, 103 degrees in some areas. 99 is currently the feels like temperature in Tallahassee, feeling like 100 at St. Mark's, and some other spots are cracking the century mark as we work about the 6 o'clock hour in town. The satellite and radar showing you again some lightning, a potential threat as well with a pretty heavy shower just to the north of Tallahassee. Some of these showers kind of lining up along I-10 along the sea breeze front. Not really too much of a concern for us here on campus or the south side of town in the immediate future as these storms are slowly drifting their way off to the north. For the next 24 hours, we should start to see this shower activity dissipating, setting up for what's going to be a pretty nice night around town, mainly clear skies, even into parts of tomorrow morning. And then we should be starting to see slightly increased rain coverage, and this is going to be a gradual pattern for the next 3 days or so as we work into the afternoon here on Friday. Temperatures getting back up into those lower 90s. Here's the temperature forecast here for you tonight. Temperatures will be dropping into the mid-70s throughout much of the region as we wake up tomorrow morning here about 7 o'clock. Should be expecting about 75 degrees. And again, afternoon highs getting back into those lower 90s for much of our area, with some 80s, upper 80s down by the coastline, although it'll be feeling nice and toasty in those regions. For tonight, 70s across the board, partly cloudy and mostly clear skies up in our northern areas. Still could see some spotty showers early on. For tomorrow, we're looking at highs in the lower to mid 90s across much of the area, with Bainbridge being our high spot at 96 degrees under partly cloudy skies. The threat of a stray shower or storm is possible, of course. And we should see these rain chances really starting to increase as we work into the early part of next week. Temperatures largely hovering around the 90-degree point in the afternoon. Increased cloud coverage and moisture contributing to that slightly decreased temperature. However, it'll be feeling just as hot out there with the threat of those afternoon thunderstorms increasing. We'll be giving it to Michael in just a bit, but for now I got a couple of minutes here on the southeast. We're going to zoom things out here for the next few minutes of the show. Starting to see some prominent features really influencing a lot of this weather in this region. We're starting to see the stationary front that's impacting parts of Mississippi as well as Alabama. Some pretty hot temperatures in parts like Jackson sitting at 94 degrees. And the real big thing we see here is that humidity is really returning a big way for much of the region, especially in our immediate area where, again, we were seeing dew points in the 50s for a good chunk of yesterday here. 70-degree dew point in Atlanta, 74 in Montgomery, the stationary front line right along here. But that moisture is pretty evident on both sides of this feature. And it's feeling nice and toasty in these areas as well. Feeling like 104 in New Orleans, 105 in Houston. Pretty much 90s and triple digits digits anywhere you look across the southeast. So of course, stay hydrated and avoid excessive outdoor activity if possible here. You can really see the stationary front here with this wind speed and direction map. You see these northerlies and these southerlies really converging along here and starting to run parallel with the front. That's a big feature of these stationary fronts, sort of these stagnant air masses that really aren't moving too much, hence the name stationary here. And with this, we have some spotty rainfall, a little bit more so than we have here in the immediate Tallahassee area. Some of this rain is very good for areas like, say, northeastern Texas. We even have a severe thunderstorm warning currently active for parts of western Arkansas right about now, a little bit less west of Little Rock. And again, you see the stationary front really lined up across much of the Sun Belt here with some shower and thunderstorm activity in areas like Atlanta as well. For much of the area, except for parts of Texas, really between about Dallas and Houston down towards Waco or so, should be seeing storms fizzling out, and we could be seeing that getting back into the picture early on tomorrow here in parts of Texas as well. But otherwise, the shower and thunderstorm activity really gets going for much of the southeast in the afternoon hours. Pretty customary pattern here, although we could be looking at some pretty decent coverage in parts of really from Atlanta all the way through, say, Baton Rouge in northern Louisiana or so. For tonight's forecast, looking at 60s and 70s everywhere. Nashville really being the nice spot, 69 degrees and clear skies in that area. Atlanta's golf forecast for tomorrow, looking at that temperature getting up to about 88 degrees at 3 o'clock. And for tomorrow, the heat really sticking around here. 95 degrees, bright and sunny in Nashville, really looking like a nice day there, although it'll be a little bit on the humid side. 80s and 90s pretty much anywhere else across the entire southeast. But for now, we're going to send things over to Michael for the rest of the show.
Yeah, thanks, Jake. Let's take a look at our national forecast, and you'll see that it's very hot in the smack center of the country. 96 in Kansas City, 85 in Chicago, and 95 in Minneapolis. And we have three main features. Jake pointed out the stationary front down towards the southeast. We have a cold front situated in the Dakotas, giving them some severe weather. And then the monsoon is into high swing in the southwest, where the dew points are a little bit higher because of that monsoon as well. You can see the dew point in Phoenix right now, 63. That's a pretty high dew point for them, but again, the monsoon is into full swing there, so that's providing the moisture they need for that monsoonal rains. Now, ahead of that cold front in the Dakotas, you have high dew points in Minneapolis and Kansas City of 76 and 71 degrees, and then we have the high dew points down towards the southeast. Tallahassee has a dew point of 71 compared to 59 yesterday. Big difference, so the moisture is back, and it's supposed to be back for this time of year. Now, when you combine the temperatures and the dew points, this is what it feels like on your body. So we have a lot of feels like temperatures of 100 in the smack center of the country, 89 in Memphis, that's a rain-cooled 89, and then upper 90s in Atlanta and Tallahassee. But off towards the west, it's much cooler, much more nicer because of the higher elevations. The exception is Phoenix because of the heat with that dew point from the monsoon, making your feels like 101 degrees. Now, you can see we have northerly winds behind that cold front in the Dakotas, with the southerlies bringing the higher dew points ahead of that. And then we also have that stationary front down towards Atlanta, and then out towards the southwest, you can see the monsoonal winds coming off from the Gulf of California and the Pacific. So we'll show you that features on our surface map. You can see the severe weather, a severe thunderstorm watch for southern Minnesota and South Dakota. We'll zoom into that. You can see that this is up until 11 p.m. and also for the Minnesota one, that's up until 1 a.m. In the same area in South Dakota, we have a flash flood watch until tomorrow, so we're not expecting the system to move much for the next day or so because there's no really steering currents to move it down. It's moving above this ridge in the center of the country. Down towards the southwest, we have a monsoon. A flash flood watch is issued for a lot of the southwest in New Mexico, Colorado, Arizona, lots of Nevada. And then with these showers and storms not moving that much and going over desert soils, which cannot take a lot of moisture, we have a lot of flash flood warnings in these red boxes. Look at the amount of flash flood warnings around the Vegas metro region. So again, when you have those desert soils, it's hard for the moisture to soak in, but we do need the rain with this drought. Some improvement in Colorado. We're expecting more improvement if this monsoon continues over the next few weeks. The southeast, we talked about the stalled out front giving the showers and thunderstorms there. Now the center of the country has their heat advisory because you get the dew points combined with those hot temperatures. It's going to feel very hot outside, and heat indexes of 105 are expected until Saturday for some regions. Now the next 24 hours shows you the monsoon in the southwest, the stalled out front in the in Atlanta and into the southeast, and the front up towards Minneapolis and the Dakotas. But let's fast forward to tomorrow, where we continue the same pattern across most of the country. Now let's move on to the Florida forecast. You can see how we have pretty typical weather, 90s, low 90s, upper 80s. We do have the sea breeze right along the western coast of Florida. We'll show you that in our radar in just a bit. But let's go into the dew points, and you'll see that we do have dew points much higher across the panhandle today. That's because of the moisture coming out from the Gulf once again. We lost those northerlies, and now we're getting those southerly winds from the Gulf once again, making those heat indexes what it feels like on your body once again. Very oppressive outside. Yesterday, we had a heat index of 93, which was lower than our air temperature of 94. Today, our heat index is much higher than our air temperature, 99 in Tallahassee, and the same story can be said for most of the state of Florida, unless you're in a rain-cool spot like Fort Myers, which is at 89 degrees right now. The winds are coming out from the Gulf, and they're also converging in the peninsula because of that sea breeze. You can see right along the Tampa region, a lot of lightning just north of Tampa, so you might want to stay indoors just for the next hour or so. And then we'll continue with this normal pattern of the storms dying off in the nighttime hours and then re-firing with that sea breeze coming up once again in the afternoon. So let's fast forward to tomorrow, and you'll see that we do continue the pattern of 90s across the entire state and the sea breeze pattern continuing. So typical Florida weather over there. Now let's go to our FSU weather stem cam. And you see, we start off with the clear skies, pretty typical for a summertime morning here in Tallahassee. But with that daytime heating, we did get the clouds building up, and then we had one pretty intense shower and some lightning associated with that right along I-10. We'll go into the radar in just a second. Right now, it is a 92 degrees at the airport, but again, it feels like 99 with those dew points in the 70s. Very different compared to yesterday, where the dew point was in the 50s. 92 here in Tallahassee, 93 in Camilla, and the hot spot right now is 95 in Bainbridge, and it's cooler down towards the coast where they gotten some of those sea breeze showers earlier today. Dew points much higher compared to yesterday. A lot of us were in the 50s in the interior locations. Now we're in the upper 60s and low 70s. Again, that's pretty typical for July here in Tallahassee. The winds are now coming out from the Gulf. The difference compared to yesterday, the winds were coming out of the north, and the only southerly winds were confined to the coast. Now those southerly winds have come all the way down up towards the Georgia-Florida border. That's why our dew points are higher today. And the sea breeze has also been able to get a little bit more north than these last few days. We had a very intense shower and thunderstorm still ongoing just along the I-10 corridor north of Tallahassee. And then we do have some sea breeze showers and storms west of the Apalachicola River. And then we had some sea breeze showers down towards Cross City earlier. Those have dissipated. Now those sea breeze showers and storms are going to die off as we head into the nighttime hours, pretty typical for July. And then we will start up with clear skies tomorrow morning for your morning rush. And then in the afternoon, we're expecting a little bit more coverage of showers and storms than these last few days. So the temperature is not going to be as hot, but again, it's going to feel very humid. So your feels like temperature is going to be close to 100 degrees. For tonight's forecast, 74 with a 30% chance of the sea breeze showers or storms early dissipating, as well as the clouds. We'll start up with clear skies tomorrow morning, and then we'll get a more coverage than these last few days, a 30% chance for a lot of our locations here in the Big Bend region. For your marine forecast, we do have the afternoon storms. Let's show you the 7-day forecast. After the Gulf forecast, you see the 76 at the morning, 90 degrees, and then we continue with this summertime pattern. We're going to kick it into full gear by the time we head into next week. Finally, don't forget to follow us on all of our social media platforms, and we are on YouTube at FSU Weather. So have a great night, and we'll see you back here on Monday.